Alright, folks, we're going to talk about one subjects BLM. BLM, much like the KKK, is a hate group. Anybody who don't see that is intentionally blind. Poking yourself in the stick so you can say you didn't see anything. You're only harming yourself in that situation in more than one way. Just calling out to specifically those in the black community who are with Asperger's. You know that you get bullied more than anybody else in the neighborhood. You know that you're the first person them gangsters are going to target. You also know that once in a while they come to you and they say, "Oh, I respect you. If I had brains like you, I'd this and I'd that." And they tell you all the wonderful things that they would do if they had brains like you. But they ain't going to protect you, are they? How many of you are self-educated? You said, "I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to be that guy." How many of y'all stepped away from those communities and said, "I'm not going to stay in that and be one of those. I ain't no HN." For any of you white folks who don't know what that stands for, well, good for you. You can see your way out of the subject then. So, we got a lot of people out here with Asperger's being harmed every day. We're the most likely to be made homeless. 85% of us aren't able to get or keep a job. We're adults without jobs. Nobody wants to employ us. We have to deal with statistics that are specifically from people with Asperger's who are low functioning. And then people want to know our number. Like, hold on a second here. What level are you? Let me tell you something. The only people who should be described by level are sex offenders. Not people with Asperger's. All people with Asperger's. Well, let's take a look at where you're from. In some states, they got it on a level of 1 to 3. How autistic you are. Level 1 is people who poop themselves at 40 years of age and are always going to need to be in assisted living. Level 2 is people with Asperger's, well, people with autism who might have delayed developmental speech and possibly need more help than the majority of you. They're not likely to get hurt either. Then you've got the level 3. This is people with Asperger's, people who are highly intelligent, people who are able to take care of a lot of their daily needs, but they're ignored because of assumptions about Asperger's that were the level 1s. There's also the fact that the numbering system is different by state. In some states, level 1 is the highly intelligent ones. Level 2 means they need more assistance. Level 3 means they need a maximum amount of assistance. But in all of those, the person with Asperger's is required to do things on their own as if they have no disabilities. But also they're denied access to those things because they're considered disabled. And you can decide basically on the spot whether you want them to be considered disabled today or not. Will it benefit us for Sean to be disabled today, or will it benefit us to say that he could have done all this stuff himself and he didn't try? We'll deny him the right and call him mentally ill and send him around in circles when he's harmed. And then we'll pretend that Sean didn't try. And since nobody's there, nobody cares. This is the reality of our situation. Elijah McClain was hijacked. His story and his life were hijacked because of the color of his skin. You don't see how the black community treats those of us with Asperger's the same way that the white community treats us. I also see how much greater the Hispanic and Native communities are treating the people with Asperger's. They are, in many of the places that I've been, revered. Their intelligence is revered and counted upon by the family. It's utilized as a skill. Imagine your daughter is a little Hispanic little mentate. You got a 7-year-old daughter balancing your checkbooks perfectly. And because you culturally are taught how to find the good in your family and the wonderful things about them and to see those things and to see them as blessings and to utilize them as the blessings that they are, we have taught white parents to push their children to be a certain way, to do certain things and say certain things, and to recognize certain things and follow certain things. Now, BLM is very much being hijacked by man-hating feminists of the black community now. We have many black women who are coming out and saying that black society is a rape breeding society, and this is just not the case. These are the real sellouts. The people who want to pretend that culturally it is okay. No, it's not. It's never been okay. It's primarily overlooked by the primary benefactors of such activities. When you are raped or beaten, you need to turn it in right away. But if you're disabled, you're likely to get talked over. If you're a man, you're likely to get grilled and talked over. If you have Asperger's, you're just going to get talked over by everybody no matter what. It's because you exhibit signs of being abused, of being afraid, because your entire life you've been talked over. We need to do something about the systemic racism. We got to get the folks with BLM to recognize that we're all on this rock together. It's not just black people whose lives were uprooted. A lot of white people want to say, oh, well, it's black people's fault that there was slavery because they sold black people. And a lot of people want to say, oh, no, it's the white people's fault for buying them. No, it's both of their fault for taking part in it. But slavery wasn't just in the Americas, and it wasn't just black people, even here in the Americas. Slavery is older than written history. Most people, the slaves that they had, came from the surrounding area. You'd be surprised how many people were made slaves as a form of punishment. Now, what I'm wanting to bring up right now is a whole bunch of black people who have especially been coming forward right now and saying, hey, enough is enough. The ones who tried to find something away from the gunshots, gunfire, carcasses, bodies, and drugs. The ones who wanted to stay away from the hussies. The ghetto princesses. A lot of people want to pretend that the word ghetto is a racist term. It's absolutely not. It's a term for the projects, housing. You ever hear of the Warsaw Ghetto? Warsaw, Poland. Look up what a ghetto really is. Look where the name came from. The word ghetto isn't some hateful thing against black people. It's something that Jews are taught is a part of their history. It's something that Polish are taught is part of their history. Now, there's a lot of people who are not down with embracing the communities that they come from. There's a lot of, well, the nerds, right? That's what you want to call them, nerds, because they're not into the same thing as you, because they don't embrace a murder culture. And some of these folks do come from areas of the United States where that is very much what people see of the black community. Or at least that's what's televised. And I'm going to give you some information here. A lot of the stuff out here on the streets that I've recorded, people want to pretend that that stuff doesn't happen. And also many of the people that I recorded doing things wanted to pretend that those things didn't happen. Well, it's recorded. Those things did happen. And it's recorded that they happened. Running around and slandering somebody's name so that nobody listens to them, that's not good for anybody. It's not good for anybody. Somebody with Asperger's is going to be treated like they're a nut job because they're weird or they're different. And somehow that equates in your brain to bad and needs drugs. Or must be on drugs and needs therapy. It's always, oh, you just need to get your meds right. Well, that just shows your opinions. We get to see how BLM went from being a good idea to save lives to a racist hate group with a lot of members. You have a lot of white members of BLM. Many white members of BLM. You've got a lot of people that are so out to prove that they're not racist, that they're being racist against their own people. By their own people, I mean white people. And it's only blacks versus white in that situation because that is what's being forced down their throats too. It's being forced down white kids' throats that it's their fault that black people commit crimes. That's right. It's our white privilege's fault that black people are forced to commit crimes. The fact that us white people can look away. No, we can't. Do you think I'm Bill fucking Gates? Holy Christ here. I look more like Ted Kaczynski than Ted Cruz. I don't look like I sing opera. I don't look like I'm gonna be sitting at some classical piano playing for a crowd at Carnegie Hall. Shit, I look all ZZ Top and shit, you know? People got their opinions. They like to stick with them. The thing is, you're shooting yourselves in the foot. The best cause that you have for changing things for all of us is to keep pushing the abuse by police. Not to keep pushing the, oh, I'm black, feel bad for me. I'm black, feel sorry for me. Motherfucker, we all on this rock together. All right, those sundown laws are used against poor people, motherfuckers. Poor people. Anybody that people are offended by, and we're taught to hate homeless. We are taught to feel sorry for black people and to hate the homeless. Meanwhile, the majority of the black people being killed by police every year are homeless. The majority of black people incarcerated were homeless when they were arrested. Systemic racism starts with fucking homelessness. You want to fight for equal rights, fight for the homeless. Because special rights only create a divide and give people an excuse to hate you. Hey, hold on a second. Why do these people get special privileges because of the color of their skin? By law, we have women's privilege. We have children's privilege. We have black privilege. We have native privilege. We have person of color privilege. We also have a lot of laws that restrict white people. We have laws that prevent a white victim from being allowed to come forward if people don't care. Same as with many black people. So it comes down to what's the popular opinion. That's the safest way to go. That's what America has truly become. What's the safe way to do it? What's the safe opinion to have right now? You can go back through and look at my history. My opinions were never popular. And now that my opinions are very popular, you're still not willing to go back and take a look. You guys get to see that when I show and express examples to the best of my abilities of what my predators do. How many people go and hide under a rock and go, oh my God, look how scary Sean is. Well, that's exactly the fucking point. You don't think it's scary when people are like that to me. You think I should be fine with it. No. This ain't just for black people. This is for all of us. All of us. Black people accounted for about 16% of the population last year. And 24% of those killed by police. That's up from 22% of those killed by police in 2019. Disabled people account for about 16% of the population. They accounted for 51% of those killed by police last year. They also account for about 51% of those killed by police in 2019. Then we've got the homeless. 0.18% of the population accounted for what percentage of those killed by police last year? 61%. 61%. That is well over double the number of people, or the number of black people killed by police. Well over double. The homeless are between 3 and 4 times more likely to be killed than somebody in a house. I mean, in overall statistics, when you break it down to the sheer minuscule quantity of homeless people that we claim to have here, about 600,000 homeless people. 0.18% of the population, although the majority of those incarcerated, about 7.8 million of them were homeless when they were arrested. About 3/4 of them. There's approximately the same number of people in jail, prison, or on extended probation, ankle monitors, house arrest. There's about an equal number of those as there were to the United States military in 1998, about 11 million. 11 million, that's a fucking shit ton. $7.8 million of those people are supposed to be what? Homeless when they were arrested. Railroaded by a public pretender who gets paid whether they win or lose. Railroaded by police who don't care to collect evidence. They know that it's an easy open shut. They don't have to do any work, minimal paperwork. They can lie, they can destroy whatever fucking evidence they want, and nobody fucking cares. It's a fucking homeless person. When we die, they're just gonna stick us in a fucking oven, incinerate our fucking corpses. It's cheaper than burying us. Our families aren't gonna fucking do anything about our bodies. That's if our families can be contacted and if they care. What's gonna happen to my corpse when I die? Wherever I happen to be, that city's gonna have to pick up the bill to have my body incinerated. We got a lot of black nerds right now that are speaking up and saying, hey, you know what? It's not nothing against black people. It's against what's being emulated by black society. How many people watched Boys in the Hood and then got all hopped up on an East Coast, West Coast rivalry? All of a sudden, every rapper got to have beef, isn't that right? Back in the 90s, you couldn't be a rapper unless you had beef. You got to have beef with Biggie, you got to have beef with Tupac, you got to have beef with Ice Cube. And who the fuck is Vanilla Ice? Right? Vanilla Ice wanted to be known as a hard mofo. That's not what he's known for, is it? So we got a lot of black folks who are almost conservative, you might think. Many of them even claiming to be conservative. This is because they were the primary recipients of the bullying. These are the ones who had to be afraid to walk home every day, the most. Afraid of stray bullets, or afraid of targeting by one of them kids that, well, he couldn't stop being a bully when he was younger because he's got home problems and a daddy that beats him. Now he's got a gun in his hand and he's 13 years old, and you got to be afraid that that 13-year-old going to come and shoot you for being a nerd. Yeah, there's a reason there's a lot of black nerds speaking out about black society. But the other thing is, that's the part of black society that they saw. I know a lot of black people who are racist against black people because of the situations they were raised in around black people. And that's why some of these black nerds blame black people for everything that black people go through. I can understand that position. I've gotten to hear opinions like, you know what? You can't just go fucking carjack somebody and say, it's not fair, I was framed because I'm black. You know, sure, I stole the car, but the police only pulled me over because I'm black. And the number of black people that were able to rise above that with their educations, and also with some of these programs that were created specifically to help black people. And many of them also spoke out about how they went to school with black students that got scholarships playing sports, and how their education was taken as a joke. How the majority of them it didn't seem important to them. And that oftentimes they wouldn't even have to go to class, or they'd disrupt class. By the time you're in college, you should be done with fucking around. You should be taking it seriously like an adult. I've seen these younger and older freedom fighters speaking out against black communities, in specific the black communities they grew up in, but many of them aren't voicing it that way. Many of these people just voice it as black communities in general. Well, you know what? There's a big difference between growing up in Harlem and growing up in Boulder. If you live in Boulder, Colorado as a black person, the abuse that you're going to endure is going to be at the hands primarily of white people. That's primarily who lives there, is white people. But if you're a black person in Harlem, well, you're in a black neighborhood, and the people that are going to victimize you are going to be primarily black. And when you're angry at people who are looking the other way or helping out your predators, well, it's a black neighborhood. Chances are, as a black person, that the other people in that neighborhood who are helping your predators to get away, playing it down, saying, oh, well, we can't go to the police. That won't work. You get to see how many black communities are afraid of the police. But also, you get to see how BLM and many of the people with BLM and after BLM rallies, although there was no violence toward the police, there was violence towards homeless people, including black homeless people. Throwing an explosive incendiary device in a homeless man's face after a BLM rally. That's horrid. And the fact that people want to smile and laugh about it. You've taught people that homeless people are all druggies and addicts and rapists, and it's funny to hurt them. I'm not talking about black society, I'm talking about American society. You might care if it happens to a homeless woman, but probably not. By the time you care about it happened to a homeless man, the person who did it to him has already killed 7 people. We had 2 killers around the same time last year, beginning of this year. One of them in Washington, D.C., and he killed people, homeless people in specific, between Washington, D.C. and New York. There was another one in Chicago. The one in Chicago succeeded in killing 8 people. The one between Washington, D.C. and New York, he was able to kill 2 people, a possible third, and charged with 6 shootings overall. Once you get something that's interstate, the FBI gets involved and assists both police stations. But what happens if both police stations did something wrong? And both police stations are invested in keeping that shut up. The cops here and telling people I was involved in a murder. Telling people that I'm wanted for murder. Same thing in Warrenton. Police officers doing this. Intentionally slandering my name. I fought for the rights of black people my entire life because I grew up in the goddamn system. I recognized that the reason that I was being beaten up was because, well, I was the wrong skin color in a wrong colored system. A lot of black kids, they got a black public pretender, no they didn't, they got a white public pretender, a white judge, a white prosecutor, white officer. Don't none of them got to tell the truth, don't none of them got to do their jobs. And y'all don't stop to recognize that they're cutting their teeth on homeless people. They're coming out and they're practicing that stuff on homeless people. People who are severely traumatized. That's who the police tactics work on. The at-risk and the disabled. The homeless. The elderly. Primarily the homeless who have multiple categories so they can be bounced around from one part of the system to the other. We're ignored because of skin color. Many black homeless people that BLM, if they were worth their weight in shit even, would pick up. Because one black person in a house having a situation where they're victimized just once versus a black man out on the streets who's victimized often by the police. And he's supposed to talk about how nice the officers were when they lied to him. That's what's expected of him. Same as expected of the rest of us. Oh, well, he sounded like he was talking nice. Listen to the words that come out of his mouth. Listen to the words that came out of mine. Was that officer listening? Shit, you weren't even listening. You have to go back and re-listen to the recording. At some point, your brain went numb and you got sick of listening. You got bored. Started thinking your own thoughts in your head and not hearing the story. Now you got some mumbo jumbo in your head that's as far from the truth as it can possibly fucking be. We need to work together. We need to stop pretending that white people can't be victims, and we need to make sure that we're going after the predators and understanding that it's not just one thing that makes us vulnerable. The more of those categories we belong to, the more likely we are to be harmed. Being white is not a guarantee that you're going to be treated like a person. Being a man is not a guarantee that you're going to make $50,000 a year. Being white doesn't mean you're not disabled. Being a man doesn't mean that you're not disabled. Being white doesn't mean that you can't be impoverished and taken advantage of the same way that anybody else who's impoverished is taken advantage of. There's a lot of black people being called traitors now because they're speaking out against the societies that they grew up in. What was emulated in those societies? What was projected as a positive thing in their neighborhoods? Saying the only options that you had were to become good at sports or to become a gangster or a drug dealer. Well, that's not the reality. The reality is in that area, that's basically the options you've got. You're not always allowed to get up and just leave, though. It's nice when you can. And many of those folks moved to an area where they were less likely to be victimized, less likely to be harmed. Sure, they might have to deal with some racism because they're living among a lot of white people. But many of those people absolutely love living among white people because they're less likely to get shot. Less likely to get shot. And when these black people speak up about their experiences, they're told to shut up. They're told that they're trying to take away from the black cause. For many of these nerds that are standing up and speaking up, what they're pissed off about is the continued emulation of movies like Boys in the Hood. People trying to live up to a racial stereotype. A racial stereotype that became popular in the 90s, even among white people. How many white people have aspired to be gangsters ever since then? We work together or we get nothing. We've got a lot of people with Asperger's who are black, white, all sorts of different colors. We're not the primary benefactors of good things. When you have gangsters who want to make fun of intelligent people, harm intelligent people, threaten intelligent people and their friends and families, do you really expect those people to want to emulate you? Do you really expect them to be on your side? Why would you call a person a traitor for not wanting to be a part of a society that they have seen as bloodthirsty and destructive? Meanwhile, I get to see the same thing nationwide from every society that I'm in. I don't see just white people doing this, or just black people doing this, or just Hispanic people doing this. And yeah, I'm aware that there's a lot of Hispanic gangs that are involved in human trafficking and drug trafficking. I also know that there's a lot of Hispanic families that work together as families and try to make the world a better place, not just for themselves and their families, but also for those around them, in the hopes that if they show good things, if they give good things, if they try to be inclusive of others, that maybe, just maybe, people will try to be inclusive of them. But the hate runs deep. And it keeps getting deeper because we got a bunch of wannabe thugs trying to emulate TV, trying to emulate popularity. We got a bunch of people that know for damn sure they don't got to be speaking in Ebonics. Well-educated people who speak that way because it's expected and popular. I know some black folks in Boulder that speak like that out on the streets and try to talk tough, but once they get home at their mama's house, oh hell no. They know better. It's disrespectful. Why is it that well-educated black people consider speaking Ebonics at the dinner table to be disrespectful? Well, because playing ignorant doesn't help anyone. And it sure as hell doesn't help yourself. There's a lot of us who will never have a voice because we're male, because we're homeless, because we're disabled. All of those things make us guilty far more so than the skin color. Are black people more likely to be victims of abuse resulting in homelessness? Yes. But it's when you're homeless that the hell really begins. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. No victim left behind. You're also your sister's keeper too. Let's see how much charge I got on this thing. %. Alright, go see if that old guy is alright. Who's over there flying at Safeway. I know the old guy who was talking about at the Chevron. Oh, there's a lady that was going to help me. I'm going to go talk to her real quick. If I can get my cane out. I didn't see you earlier, and then I was going to come up. I was having a panic attack, so I was making a video first.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was up there at 10 because I had to go get my bus pass for tomorrow. Starts a new month. And then I went to dinner and then went back and stayed another couple hours.
I wasted it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Not really.
I know, I understand it, but you were doing something you needed to do.
Yep, I'm glad you understand that. A lot of people are real mean about it.
Yeah, when I got over there, I thought, oh my God, because I forgot all about it when I talked to you on Saturday, that bus thingy was today. And so I walked, at 10 when I got in there, I walked through, I got there a little before that, but I walked through and didn't see you in a room, so then it was time to eat, and then I went back. And I'm just gonna go find some shade.
I came here, I saw your vehicle.
Yeah, I
When I
parked
first
here.
got here, I didn't see it though. So I got to talking, went over to Safeway, came back. There was a guy there's like 6 or 7 people now that have come up to me and they're telling me that the police and a lot of the businesses here are telling people that I killed somebody and stuff like that. So, I mean, the thing is that that's not my fault, that's not my decision.
Right.
But I'm being harmed by homeless people. I'm being harmed by police. I'm being harmed by the public. I'm being blackballed everywhere I go, stonewalled everywhere I go. And people don't understand that me having to make calls by myself really screws me. The other thing is, like, I really needed to not waste the day, and I'm sorry I did that.
That's okay. I was just not sure if I started my flashers were starting. I hadn't done it yet. I couldn't remember if I started my battery. Yeah.
Or you're probably headed out here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I am. I was just getting ready to go.
All right. What was your name again?
Susan.
Susan. I hate the fact that your name is Susan because I never remember it.
Oh, that's okay. I remember yours only because I put it in with my phone.
Yes, ma'am. If you could message me, that would make it so that I'd probably remember it easier.
Okay.
Because I know I have it in my phone, but every time I look through my phone, I was going to call you before going in there. Because I know you were saying that you get on the bus and you have to go places sometimes. So I wanted to make sure that you were here before going in there, carrying everything in.
Yeah, and I after I parked here, I went there until I left at 5 after 12 because we eat lunch. After 11 because we have to be out there by 12. So.
You did everything right, but.
But I thought it was me. I didn't see you when I got in, and then I looked up there, but I didn't go around the whole thing. So I figured if you didn't have a room or you weren't sitting over here, you probably weren't in here. And I figured you went somewhere.
Well, I saw the big white van here.
Yeah.
I know the lady, she's really nice.
Yeah, Linda. She doesn't go over to get a bus pass, so.
She seems like she's as afraid of people as I am.
She's 83 on her birthday. And she just doesn't talk to very many people. She goes in and charges her phone, does an hour or two on the computer, and then she leaves. And then she'll come back a little bit. But she comes and eats.
Well, she's very sweet every time she talks to me.
Yeah, she is to everybody that she talks to.
I make sure that I
Even
try
the people
not to
she
bug
definitely
her.
don't like, she's still sweet too.
I remember growing up, that's kind of the way it used to be. A lot of folks assume that because I'm autistic that I don't get social cues. It's not that. It's that when we need help, like we're in a desperate situation, and people don't understand that.
Right?
We shouldn't have to act like 5-year-olds to get people to stop acting like 5-year-olds.
Yes. And then they don't understand what you're doing. You're mocking me. No, I'm trying to show you what it looks like.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
This is how it feels. But see, the thing is, when Natalie and her friends and family bullied me to the point that I was suicidal and I was literally begging people to kill me, I was offering them my money, I was offering my vehicle, whatever it would take for them to kill me. Because that's how much hell that I was put through before Natalie was killed.
Yeah.
After she was killed, it got 1,000 times worse. And then I got people who were pissed off because I posted up a video that showed I told the truth with them in their words.
And that's what pissed them off because everybody they lied to now knows they lied.
Well, that's where they run around and tell people that I'm a liar. Nobody listens. Oh, don't listen to anything that Sean says. He's paranoid, schizophrenic, druggie. Oh my God.
You know, and there's so many of them there that they just believe that, there's just one more.
Yup. And that's what my therapist said. I saw a grand total of 6 doctors who all said that I'm not schizophrenic, I'm not delusional, that I am honest, that I am on the spectrum. But the thing is that I tried to turn in bad cops in counties where you turn in bad cops.
Right.
It's their word versus yours.
County is definitely one of them.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I better let you do your stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Susan.
You're welcome. Oh, well. Oh, must have been nice to take what you pulled in.
Some of the stuff I might be able to type or text at you so you can look it up yourself if you have time.
Sure.
As long as you message me, hi, this is Susan.
I will do that. When my car is warming up, because it takes a while for the thing to clear itself. Ooh. I wonder why that hose is all.
Oh, that's just a hose around it, or a wrapping to keep the wires inside the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
If it crushes it too much, it'll split the wires, though, which is probably the problem I have with my starter.
I don't have problems. I have to wait almost an hour after I turn it off, and sometimes it's longer than an hour to start it. So that's why I take my battery, because it'll kill my battery.
I wanted to let you know, no matter what you had going on today, if you didn't make it at this time or that time, you did show up, and it's not your fault that I was in the state that I was in, or that I had to try to make sure I got food. I stood there about an hour with a sign to get breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you stay.
Thank you.
Like I said, I kept on gonna, but I didn't quite make it, did I? I did get something to eat. That's the problem with having to stop and take care of my daily needs. Sometimes it takes longer than you would hope. And that older feller said he was gonna have to leave at 2:30. I guess he was gonna head down south. George Kemt. He might still be there, he might not. Oh, he's still there. Do all right?
$25.
25?
Yeah, you want it?
I'll probably be back in a couple of minutes.
Sit there on something soft. Put your cup of coffee on. But and not find out their car and smile at them. Give them thumbs up and stuff, wave, you know. You'll make money.
Show them my toothless grin.
That's fine. I was supposed to be in the dental office today getting these taken out for dentures, and I missed it because the telephone trouble was yanked. He dropped the telephone from the fucking toilet. And fucked us up. I thought I had a stammer.
I found part of the tobacco. I'm pretty sure I got rolling papers in my car. Thank you, sir.
Wait, I'm gonna go catch the bus.
Be safe.
I will.
Yeah, I probably should not take responsibility for the fact that it was my fault I wasn't there today. I probably shouldn't. I should probably blame her for things that are not her fault. I should probably say, oh, it's all Susan's fault. It's Susan's fault that I was having a panic attack and sitting in my car. And she tried to take responsibility for some of it because she had stuff that she had to do and she wasn't here to do it. She had other things in her life that she had forgotten about and she had to go do. But that doesn't make it her fault. Because see, here's the thing, is that I didn't even know she'd had to go somewhere else to do something else because I wasn't up there looking for her like I should have been. I was busy in my car having a panic attack. Now, one of the things about Susan... Oh, wow, I just found a knife. Hold on, YouTube, check this out. Let me turn the camera around. There's a knife here in the bushes. says USA on it. I definitely don't want to touch it because I don't know what it's been used for. But yeah, that's a knife just sitting on top of the bushes. Alright. Anyway, the moral of the story here is that life happens. It doesn't mean that people are out to get you or out to hurt you or out to destroy your life. And a lot of times when people do horrible stuff, it's because they're embarrassed or because they fear what other people think. Now, when you want to say something like you shouldn't care what other people think, I want you to look back on your life. All of the horrible things that were ever done to you were all done over people's opinions. Opinions of what they thought was all right, or what they thought they could get away with, or what they thought others would think of the situation. All of the lies that people ever spread about you. Try to get other people to think of you as someone other than you are. That's gaslighting. And you get gaslighting even within your own family environment, don't you? You have an argument. You and your spouse or you and your kids end up just running around slamming out of each other. It's difficult to get yourself out. It's starting to get windy, so I'm going to walk over to my car. When she wasn't here for that little bit of today, she took responsibility for the amount of time that she was not here. You also notice that I took responsibility for the situation that I'm in, and I admitted what was going on. Thank you, sir. I didn't go trying to pretend that, oh, well, it must have been all her fault because she wasn't there for those few minutes while she had to go take care of the bus pass thing. However long that may have taken. Whether it be 2 minutes or 2 hours, it doesn't matter because I wasn't there. When I didn't see her vehicle, I came over and did that stuff at Safeway. When I saw her vehicle, I could have gone into the building and looked for her. I probably would have ran into her. And if I'd have been able to remember her name is Susan, I could have looked it up on my phone. I could have called her and I could have made sure I did what I should have done to begin with, which is make sure that I set up and verify a time and make sure the schedule's followed. But again, I can't make someone else follow a schedule. If something happens in her life like happened today, that is beyond my control. The fact that it happened is still a reality of the situation and affects the situation, but also me having a panic attack and being stuck in my car trying not to scream at the top of my lungs, help, help, help. George is a pretty nice guy. He also goes by Randy sometimes. I'm glad I got to record part of it. When he first walked up to me, though, I wish I would have been recording when he first walked up to me when I was carrying the sign, because he walked up to me and said, "Hey, those people at Chevron said that you killed somebody." I've had a lot of people tell me that story or something similar with various people here. Of course, people don't want to help you in a situation like that. They're being told that you killed somebody. The point is that I didn't. The point here is that cops are intentionally lying to people. Cops that I'm trying to turn in because they help people to get away with committing crimes against me. They just didn't want to do their jobs for a fucking homeless person. They know that juggling me around in circles and fucking lying to people is against the fucking law. especially in their positions, and that the penalty is some pretty stiff goddamn penalties. A lot of people can claim that this stuff goes all the way to the top, but very few people saved evidence of it. Goddamn right I did. Because I'm not a fucking idiot. Today was important and I fucked it off. Not intentionally. Just a shit ton of goddamn anxiety. And an empty stomach. I'm thinking about going and flying a sign for $1 so I can get one of them 99-cent keys that they have there. As long as I got 10 cents in my pocket, then I can pay the security deposit that's required whenever you buy something in a can or a bottle here. I have 25, 35, 40, 25, 35, 45, 46, 47, 48 cents. So really I only need 52 cents, 62 cents because of the security deposit. When I go fly a sign, I usually just fly it long enough to get necessities. Let me show you how much gas I got left. There's my gas gauge. Welcome to Tillamook, Oregon. People know how corrupt it is, especially those at the bottom. Those at the bottom are too afraid to come forward, and then you pretend they're horrible people for not coming forward. When every little character flaw anybody has ever had at any point in time is used to try to pretend that you're some sort of full-on, blown-out, fucking hardcore, junkie motherfucker who's a criminal-minded individual. It's stupid. It's horrid. The stuff I hear Mexicans complaining about. Actual Mexicans from Mexico complaining to me about. The homeless have worse. The things that I hear black people in the United States talking about. The homeless have it worse. The things I hear women complaining about. The homeless have it worse. None of you get it. All of you target the people who don't have the money to defend themselves, and then you want to pretend that it doesn't take money to defend yourself in the United States, in a capitalist nation. Where the people who are doing the best are the societies who learn to work together. Black society, working together to protect black people. Hispanic society, working together to protect Hispanic people. Police officers working together to protect police officers. Now, the police officers are the worst aspect of our systemic abuse. They're supposed to be the first line of defense, aren't they? No, your friends and family are. When you're being abused as an at-risk adult, nobody gives a shit, least of all the fucking police. They will start to give a shit when friends or family members care. That's why Clearview got away with doing as many crimes as they committed against me and as frequently as they did, and doing them to others in my presence while I was there. They got away with doing those things until the friend or family member of one of the quote-unquote crazies that was in Clearview spoke up. When a friend or family member spoke up, and when did any of you ever do that? When did any of you save evidence that you even made a goddamn effort? When? Oh, we're forced to jump through hoops that make no difference without a friend or family member who cares. This is horrible shit. We got a lot of people who have been through hell, or speaking up about the situations they grew up in? Are they speaking up about why? Absolutely, many of them are. They're also not heard. They're told that they don't know what it's like. Absolutely no. No. You don't get to tell these people that they have no clue what it's like to grow up in a black neighborhood when they had to flee a black neighborhood because they were intelligent, because they avoided the drugs, they avoided the gangs, and they were harmed in their own neighborhoods by people of their own skin color for trying to avoid those things. Yeah, I'm not going to fault somebody for leaving an abusive situation and saying, oh, well, you need to stick your nose out of it. You're not one of us. Wrong is wrong. Whether you're putting Jews in the oven or Poles, people in the oven, and I am 100% against that. Where do homeless people go when they die? Cheapest way to get rid of a body is to incinerate it. So that's what the United States government and peoples are willing to pay for. It's for our bodies, and any and all evidence therewithin shall be destroyed. We don't matter. We're expendable. Who did Adolf Hitler go after first? Was it the Jews? No. It was the homeless and the disabled. Was it blacks? No, it was the homeless and the disabled. And even here in the United States, it's the homeless and the disabled.